happening, everybody? Welcome back. We are taking care of the Protestant Reformation. The second half, or maybe the second third, depending on how far we get here. So, here's what we got. Luther is just putting out his 95 Thesis. He is telling everybody, hey, this is how we have to reform the Catholic Church. There's some problems, we're criticizing the Pope, but, we can still do this. And some of his buddies grab it, throw it on the printing press, and word spreads like wildfire about these ideas. Well, you know that anybody who messes with the Pope is so he gets this letter from Pope Leo X and says, listen, you either shut your mouth, recant, and take back all of your teachings, or you'll be excommunicated. All right? So, and once you're excommunicated, that means you are out of the church forever. There's no getting back in. To be excommunicated, you know how forgiving the whole, Christian church is supposed to be in forgiveness of sins. There's no forgiving this. Once you're excommunicated, you are out. Sucka, O-U-T. And so Luther says, Pope, beat it, nerd, and goes on the run. So then the Holy Roman Emperor, Charles V, summoned Luther to a diet in the city of Worms. So now, remember, they are not eating worms. This is not a diet of worms that they are eating. It is, Worms is a place in Germany, and a diet is, like it says on the screen there, an assembly or meeting of German princes, where Luther was asked to, again, take back. Listen, the Pope says, listen, you're going to get excommunicated. This is your last chance. And Luther's like, I'm not afraid of the Pope. I'm definitely not afraid of you, Charles V. And so, because we know that the Holy Roman Emperor is neither holy, nor Roman, nor an emperor. So, he doesn't really have much respect for Charles V either. But after he says no, he takes off, skips out of town, and Charles V then issued the Edict of Worms. And essentially what the Edict of Worms is, it declares Luther an outlaw. And it says anybody who helps him, who aids and abets this criminal, you will be in trouble as well. So one guy, this prince here of Saxony, Frederick the Wise, says, Luther, screw them. Come hide out in my castle. I dig what you're saying. So he hides him in the castle for a while, a pretty long time, and while in hiding, he takes the Bible, as in Luther, and translates it into German. And you say to yourself, well, big deal. Who cares? Well, you have to remember, the Bible at this point in history is just in Latin. And nobody except church officials can read Latin. So that means that the Word of God, this Bible, is really open and accessible to no one except the church. So by doing this, remember Luther's belief that the only thing that's going to get you into heaven is faith, and the only Word of God is in the Bible. And so for people to have that faith and to see the Word of God, he's got to translate it into something that they can read. And so this is a huge thing. All right, and it does take a ton of power away from the church, because when people can read that themselves, they can interpret it how they see it, and it's not just being dictated to them by the church. So, for those people that take up Luther's beliefs, they essentially start the Protestant religion, and it's those that are protesting against papal authority. And remember, papal or pontiff is just another word for pope. All right. Now, this is where I'm going to need you to use your imagination here, and you're going to have to understand that the Protestant Reformation, being part of this whole Renaissance and scientific revolution in that period, is the ugly part of really all of this, because there are hundreds of thousands of people that are killed in the name of God during this period. Princes that side with the Pope and kings that side with the Pope go after Protestants. Those that side with Luther go after the Catholics. And there are a ton of wars, all right? And the biggest deal of this Peace of Augsburg is that after 30 years or 40 years of fighting and people killing themselves in the name of God, they finally said, enough. We have to stop killing each other. And so what the Peace of Augsburg did was that it finally recognized Lutheranism and Protestantism and all these new religions as a legal religion. Like, they're legit, all right? And then finally, whoever was in control of their territory, a prince or a king or whoever, had the right to decide the religion of his realm, all right? Whether it be Lutheran or Catholic, that was always now placed in the hands of that official. And for those that, it's kind of like the Edict of Milan, to where even if you lived in a realm of Protestant religion, you couldn't go after the Catholics and kill the Catholics. And everybody was protected, all right? So the Peace of Augsburg finally brought some stability and peace back to Europe, all right? Now, in France, their religion that comes out of this, John Calvin led this movement, and his is Calvinism, all right? And for the most part, he said that you were predestined, all right? There was a predestination that needed to be occurred, that your faith, by living a righteous life, and that you were already predetermined whether you were going to heaven, was something that was important. In England, Henry VIII, he was like Catholic, wanted a divorce, couldn't get his divorce because he wasn't getting a male heir from his wife, and so he started going through all of these wives right here, as you can see, and essentially is not going to get it. But when he asked the Pope for the annulment to his marriages, the Pope says no. Well, then he stops, says, well, forget Catholicism. The Pope's not going to do what I tell him to do. I'm going to start Protestantism in England, and I'll be the head of the church, and there you go. He goes through all of these wives. And when they don't bear him a male heir, gone. Gets another one, gone. Gets another one, gone. And it is actually his daughter Elizabeth the First, all right, who is going to. So Henry's going to die, and the next queen, I believe it is, turns back to Catholic. Queen Mary is the one that does it. Elizabeth I goes back to a Protestant religion and kind of compromises and brings back stability to England. But for the most part, the Church of England is now going to be Protestant from here out. All right. We see that there are these branches of Christianity that now have come out of this time period, all right? So we know that we have Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox that started from the get. Now we see that Protestantism is here, and judging and coming from there, you have Calvinists, the Anglican Church in England, and Lutheran from Martin Luther. But then off of these Calvinists, you also get Puritans, Huguenots, Presbyterians, all of these other branches of Christianity develop as well. So, so there's a map, and then there's the results. You know, this end of reformers like Luther established their own non-Catholic traditions. and the Reformation caused a permanent split in Christianity with the formation of new Protestant faith. Now, we'll get to the Catholic Reformation next, so there will be a third, sorry, but it should be quicker. I will talk to you guys later. See ya.